Hi there, it's Liz Yule from Old Staples Crafts. Sorry not to have been around for a while. Life just really has kind of got on top of me. But I'm back. Yay! And this is today's project. This is using the Graceful Garden stamp set, which is one of the new sets in the new annual catalogue. And this was actually gifted to me by, or as a thank you for attending the Stampin Up event at High Wycombe. And it was really fortuitous because it was on my wish list, but I kind of ran out of how much I was prepared to spend, ran out just before I got to this one. And I really hesitated and didn't go for it. And now I've got it, so I'm delighted by that. So this is a kind of watery colour look, obviously, as you can see, using the new ink colours. So everything here is new in colour apart from the embossing, obviously, and the shimmery white cardstock. So I have to say I have done a bit of, and here's one I prepared earlier, because there is quite a lot of embossing. So I've already stamped and put the embossing powder on the flower and this trellis, and then I'm just going to heat emboss it now. So one embossing tool, and some of you may know, I like to do my heat embossing on this, I think it's a cheese board. Anyway, I got it locally, and it works quite well to preserve the card and also my work surface, but the main thing is that it's heat resistant. I've got my heat tool is all tangled, bear with me. It is very tangled. Good grief, I couldn't have tied that in a knot better had I tried. So let's untie it from its knot. That's better. Suddenly I've got a bit of give. So yes, so this is heat resistant, so it means that I can heat emboss on this without burning my fingers. I've got a handle, I've got a bulldog clip, and here we go. So apologies for the noise. Just warming it up, and I've used the Versamark ink and white embossing powder. On the original I actually used clear, but I wasn't 100% happy with the result, so I thought I would try the white this time. Now, because I am embossing quite a large area, it is likely, and it already is, that the card will warp a little, but that's all right, we can sort that out in a moment. And it doesn't matter how many times I watch embossing powder turn, it's an amazing thing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that it's turning, but it's going from that matte powder look to the lovely, glossy, beautiful, oh, love it. It's lovely in white, it's even nicer in the metallics, because it really is like alchemy. Right, and just see there's a few bits down here that haven't melted quite fully. Okay, so that's that noise over for a while. And in fact, because I've embossed pretty much the whole thing, including my grid paper, which is now wobbly, or certainly the first piece is, but never mind. Because I have heat embossed, is that gone? Yes, the whole card, it's sort of flattened out again. So that's that, pop that to one side. Right, so for the colouring, now last time I used the Tranquil Tide here and the Lemon Lime Twist here. I'm actually going to switch those two over. I still want to use the pinks on the flower. So here is my Tranquil Tide all raring to go, and an aqua painter. And because we're using the shimmer card, we can use it. It's okay for watercolouring to an extent. You don't want to go mad, but it's better than the standard Whisper White, or even the thick Whisper White. And have you noticed there is a new gloss card in the new catalogue? I'm going to have to get some of that and play with it. I think that's going to work really well with the new embossing paste that is also in the new catalogue. So yeah, can't wait to get my hands on those. The embossing paste is winging its way to me and is due to arrive today. And knowing my luck, it'll arrive while I'm recording this video. But that's fine. So I'm trying to keep inside the lines as much as possible and trying not to put too much ink onto the embossing powder, but it will resist enough. And in fact the white is working better from a resistance point of view than the clear did, so that's good. Right, so let's close that up because I don't need it anymore. I think I'll now do the lemon lime. Will I do that? No, I'll leave the lemon lime twist for a bit longer. So I'm going to start with the fresh fig because I want the darker colours in the middle, but I don't want too much of the dark. And I've just got this piece of kitchen towel to clean my brush on. So that, and you can see that the embossing powder is resisting quite nicely. And I'm not too worried if I blend the colours together. In fact, I kind of want them blended together. Don't know why I'm holding on to that. Let's pop that down. Ooh. And if you want a more watery effect, you just add more water to the lid of your ink pad. But if you do add a lot of water, do either leave it to dry if there's not too much, or scoop some of it up with a kitchen towel before you close your ink pad. Otherwise the water will go onto the ink pad or potentially drip onto the ink pad. And what you don't want is to dilute your ink, because that's just not good, really. So I'm bringing this out a bit further because I do want it to, I do want the colour to mostly be the darker shades. And actually I've just noticed I will need to go back in with Tranquil Tide because I just noticed that there are some sort of leaf bits. Are they the calyx? My biology was never good. I need a bit more of that. My biology was never good, and I'm just pressing the top of the ink pad into the lid. Best to do that when you've just opened the ink pad a wee bit, so that there's a bit more give. But yes, my biology was never good at the best of times, and it's probably even worse now. But is it the calyx that surrounds the flower? If anyone knows, they may wish to comment and let me know. Give me a biology lesson. My niece would be cringing because she's studying biology, so she would know. But yes, she's doing a degree in biology, bless her. Right, so I'm just colouring in these last bits. And dare I say, looking out of the window to a great degree as well, because I don't know where the summer has gone, but I wish it would come back. It's incredibly wintry here today. We've had a lovely few days, and yesterday it kind of became all unpleasant again. Fortunately, my husband and I were out cycling with some friends, and fortunately it didn't actually start raining too badly until we got back into the car, at which point it was a deluge. So the bits that I was talking about were these bits just here, which I think I completely missed on the previous version. Might have to go back and fill those in. But yeah, these are not petals, they are the bit that covers the bud. And if that is a calyx, please tell me, because it's now going to bug me. Right, okay, so that's the rose done, and I think just before I do the rest, I'm just going to take a dry bit and just huff on the, and just polish off any bits of embossing that have caught ink before it kind of sets on a more permanent basis. Not that I'm saying it will, but it's just easier to get it off before it's too dry. Super, I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. Actually, I think that worked a lot better than the original. Right, I'm going to need some more of that in there. That's better. So, and this I'm going to bring up so that it's more intense here, and then hopefully fading up, but need a bit more water. So we need a bit more ink as well, as this is a paler colour to start with. Obviously the fade is going to be more subtle. So I hope those of you that asked for a catalogue or have previously shopped with me have now got them and are enjoying looking through. There are some amazing, amazing products. I'm just staggered at what lovely new things have come out and what's carried over. I think there's been a really good selection that have carried over. And I know I'm really pleased. It's one of those things, I thought I had quite a lot of stuff carried over until I cleared out my shelf with all the stamps on and realised quite how many had retired, which is fine because I now have room for the things that I've just ordered. So it's not going to look quite so bad. So yes. And as I say, I've got my big order arriving later today. I've got a launch party with one of my team this evening. So I'm going down to help her with that because she's a new member. So I said I would help her with that. So that'll be fun. But if you haven't got your catalogue yet and would like one and are in the UK and are looking to potentially buy from me, then let me know. Just leave me a comment or contact me on my Facebook page, not my my Facebook page, but on my website, and the link is below to the post for this. So yeah, leave me a comment and I will pop one in the post to you. So there we go. I'm just going to dry it off a bit. And if you didn't know, let's have a look and see if you can see this. I don't know if you can, but there are two settings. So you use 2 to heat emboss and 1 you can use just for drying, and it's a less intense heat, she says, putting it on 2. So let's just... So this won't remelt the embossing powder, it'll just help dry the paper from the water that we've used. Oh, I think I prefer that to the original. Although I think the original is probably blended a bit better. But then I was doing that in the privacy of my own home. So, here we go. So yes, just a reminder that obviously if you want any of these products, hop onto my online store. There's a link to that below as well. And on the associated blog post, which as I say I've already mentioned is linked below, I will list the products that I have used. So that takes any concern over what it is that I've used out. So this is Berry Burst. The original was on Fresh Fig, but I'm changing it up this time and using Berry Burst. And this is just a piece of A4 cardstock that I have cut in half and scored down the middle. And then just fold it. And so I'm going to stick this on here. Now I'm going to use Fast Fuse because, and I'm going to use quite a lot. I'm not It's not I'm not a great fan. I am a great fan of fast fuse. I generally, sorry, cat hair. I generally use fast fuse more for 3D projects, so boxes and things like that, because it is fast and it fuses. But if you've got any bowing on anything where you have done either watercolouring or heat embossing, it's also very good at helping to stick everything down. So I have used a lot. I wouldn't normally, when using fast fuse, use nearly that much to stick a card front down, but there we go. So, and I have also, I've used a slightly different stamp on this one, and I've lost the stamp set. There we go. So I used Label Me Pretty, which is again another of the new stamp sets. This was one I ordered on the pre-order, that is a demonstrator I'm allowed to do. So originally I used this one, and this time I've used this one, and I've done it on Berry Burst again, and I have pre-done it on the basis that you've seen me heat emboss. So the only other thing that I need to do is, again, from the Graceful Garden, I'm going to use the same I Adore You sentiment, and I'm going to stamp that on the shimmery white again, because shimmery white is not pure white, but it's not very vanilla either. So in order that there isn't a kind of jar between the shades of white, if you can have shades of white, I'm using the same cardstock, but this is a scrap. So there we go. Just clean that off on my stamping scrub, which I have just to one side. Pop that back on the case. Right, and I am taking the 1 3/8 hole punch, circle punch, because I happen to know that that sits very nicely on top of the label. This is the new Pretty label. Can't remember what they've called it now. Anyway, it's the new one. And then I'm just going to pop that up on a dimensional. And because it's just going to sit, I'm only going to use one, because they do stick incredibly well, so you don't need to go mad with them. And if you only use one layer, then you don't have to pay for large letter in the UK, because they will go through as a standard letter on our postage, which is always good. Let's stick that on the right way up, and I'm just using the multi-purpose glue for this. Just pop it down here. And it just gives me that little bit of adjusting room, so that if it's not completely straight, I can sort it out. So there we are. 2 cards, the same but different. As you know, I tend to like to do a slightly different version. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button. As at recording this, I'm just under 900 subscribers. When I hit 1,000, I will be doing a giveaway. For those of you who have been with me for a while, you will remember I did one at 500. So when I hit 1,000, I will be doing another one. So please do subscribe and pop over to my online store to buy anything you need for this. Thanks a lot, and I will see you again soon. Bye!